Uh, Before we understand example 13, there are some two statements up there that we need to really understand. And we are told that the graph of y is equals to minus fx, and this is what I'm talking about. The graph of y is equals to minus fx is a reflection of the graph y is equals to fx in the x-axis. And this is an example of what we have understood in example 12 and part B in the previous video. And the graph of y is equals to f minus x, which is now multiplication inside, is a reflection of the graph of y is equals to fx in the y-axis. And this one is just going to be seen in example 13. So in example 13, on the same axis, sketch the graph of y is equals to fx. Y is equals to minus fx, and y is equals to f minus x, and y is equals to minus fx, where fx, y is equals to fx, and which is equals to x plus 2. Of course, it goes without saying this graph is very easy to construct. It's simply talking about when x is 0 and x can sometimes be negative 2. When x is 0 and x can be negative 2, then and the a is greater than 0, so we are talking about a U shape. And this is y is equals to fx. Just that. This one needs to be reflected to y is equals to f minus x. And as you can see, again, I don't want to leave behind our Mayo, because Mayo is our tool in this. Even as we are told that is a reflection along the x-axis, and we need to critically see it ourselves. 1 over a and a. Teachers should value holiness, and that's just like it. So at the end of the day, you realize that this is multiplication inside. Multiplication inside means what? Multiplication inside exactly, this is multiplication inside. And multiplication inside means this is multiplication inside, this one, multiplication inside, which means horizontal stretch of scale factor 1 over minus 1. Remember, our a is negative 1 there. Horizontal stretch of scale factor 1 over a, which is basically negative 1. What does this mean? All x values multiplied by negative 1. All x values you multiply by negative 1 times negative 1. If that is true, then we get to our original graph, and it gets to this. Now let's see. Our x sometimes was negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 1 becomes positive 2. And at some point, x was 0. And 0 times 2 or times negative 1 becomes 0. So our graph looks now like that. This is 2. Our graph looks like that. You would see that this is the graph of y is equals to f negative x. Clearly, it is a reflection of the original graph along the y-axis, along the y-axis. You can see along the y-axis being reflected along the y-axis. This is the mirror line. So this part now gets here, and this part gets to this other part. So it's a reflection. This is a reflection along y-axis, or rather, f minus x is a reflection of the original function along the y-axis. At that point, we now need to talk about y is equals to minus fx. And if we want to talk about this, according to the summary in Mayo, this is still multiplication but outside. Multiplication but outside. This is multiplication outside. And multiplication outside means, according to what we know, multiplication outside means vertical stretch of scale factor A. And our A here was -1, of scale factor -1. What does this mean? All y values times we multiply by -1. All y values multiplied by -1. So what kind of graph now do we acquire? You can already see that our original graph was this. Y here was 0. Y here was 0. Y here is 0. The same kind of values will be maintained because 0 times anything remains 0. So we are it's going to pass through -2 and 0. But y here was positive. Positive multiplied by a -1 becomes a negative, the opposite or the corresponding negative of what the positive was. Y here was negative. Negative times +1, negative times -1 becomes positive. Positive of the corresponding value that was negative here. So again, our graph looks like that. And therefore, this is just the graph of y is equals to a negative function of x. You will see that this one, that the graph of y is equals negative, the function of x is a reflection of y is equals to fx along the mirror line. Y is equals to 0 or x axis. Along the mirror line, y is equals to 0 because this is the line y is equals 0, or it can also be called along the x axis. So what was positive becomes negative, what was negative becomes positive, and that is just like it. But it is not important that you remember all this. It is important that you will refer to Mayo as a summary of your transformation. Once you remember this, then you are good to go. All right?